A single healthy beehive in your backyard can put more honey on your shelf in one season than a family of 4 eats in 3 years, and it can do it on a patch of ground smaller than a parking space. Most people hear that and assume it's exaggeration, or that you need country land, a bee suit that costs a mortgage payment, or a degree in entomology to pull it off. You don't. You need 1/4 acre, one wooden box, one queen, and a plan the honey industry does not want you to have. Because a backyard beekeeper doesn't buy honey. A backyard beekeeper sells it. By the end of this video, you'll have the exact first-year setup for a single hive apiary on 1/4 acre. Placement rules that keep your bees calm and your neighbors friendly. The real dollar-figure equipment list with no fluff. The honey math that shows what to actually expect in year 1 versus year 2. The forage plan that turns your yard into a self-refilling nectar tank, and a month-by-month timeline so nothing catches you off guard. You'll walk into spring knowing exactly what to buy, exactly what to plant, and exactly what to skip. Here's what's actually happening in kitchens across the country right now. A 12-ounce bar of real raw honey at the grocery store runs $9 to $14. Local, unfiltered, single-source honey at the farmer's market, $12 to $18 a pound, and it's gone by 10 in the morning. A family that goes through 2 pounds of honey a month for tea, toast, marinades, and baking is bleeding somewhere between $290 and $430 a year just to sweeten food. And that's the honest kind. The stuff on the grocery shelf with the label that just says honey has a real problem. Independent testing over the last decade has repeatedly found that a meaningful chunk of imported honey on U.S. shelves is cut with rice syrup, corn syrup, or ultra-filtered mystery product that legally can't even be called honey. You're not just overpaying, you're overpaying for something that isn't what it says on the jar. Meanwhile, you have a backyard doing absolutely nothing except growing grass you have to mow every Saturday. This isn't a knowledge problem. You aren't behind because you're lazy or bad with animals or not the beekeeping type. You're behind because for 2 generations, the entire honey supply chain has been optimized to make you a customer, not a producer. Big box beekeeping suppliers sell you starter kits with pieces you won't touch for 3 years. YouTube algorithms push you toward $2,000 setups because complexity drives clicks. Local extension offices got cut to the point where a lot of new keepers can't find a mentor within an hour's drive. None of that is your fault. The truth is, a functional backyard hive is one of the simplest food systems a person can run. It's less daily work than a tomato patch, less feed cost than a single laying hen, and it produces something that stores on a shelf for 2,000 years without spoiling. The problem was never you. The problem was that nobody told you how small actually gets. Here's what most people don't realize. Backyard beekeeping isn't a hobby that got invented in the 1970s. It's one of the oldest continuous food practices in human history. Cave paintings in eastern Spain dated to roughly 8,000 years ago show a figure climbing a cliff to reach a wild honey hive. Ancient Egyptians kept bees in stacked clay cylinders along the Nile and paid taxes in honey and wax. For most of American history, a beehive was a standard household equipment, right alongside a garden and a chicken coop. Many colonial farms kept 2 or 3 hives. By the late 1800s, the U.S. had hundreds of thousands of small-scale beekeepers, most with fewer than 10 hives each, and together they produced millions of pounds of honey a year. Then commercial pollination changed the game. Big operations started trucking thousands of hives to California almond groves every February, and small keepers slowly disappeared. But the knowledge never actually vanished. It got quietly kept alive by a few thousand people in overalls who never got the memo that a backyard hive was outdated. Today, we're pulling that knowledge back out of the shed. If you're serious about producing your own honey from a single hive backyard system this year, subscribe and hit the bell right now, because everything that follows is the exact first-year blueprint, dollar figures included, and you don't want to miss a single step of it. Item 1. Site selection and placement. This is the decision that either sets your entire first year up for success or dooms it before a single bee arrives. On a quarter acre, which works out to about 10,890 square feet, you have more good options than you probably think. Your hive needs 4 things. First, morning sun. Face the entrance southeast, so the sun hits the front of the box at dawn. That warms the cluster faster and gets your foragers out working before the neighbors' hives even wake up. Second, afternoon shade in hot climates. A little dappled shade after 2 in the afternoon in July keeps the colony from wasting energy fanning the hive to cool it. Third, a windbreak. A fence, a shed wall, a hedge, anything that blocks a north or northwest wind in winter. Fourth, drainage. Never put a hive in a spot that puddles after rain. Elevate it on cinder blocks or a purpose-built stand about 18 inches off the ground. As for distance from the house, 10 to 20 feet is plenty. You can literally see your hive from the kitchen window and never get stung eating breakfast. And here's what nobody tells you. A solid 6-foot fence or hedge directly in the flight path forces the bees to fly upward over people's heads instead of straight across the neighbor's patio. That one detail has saved more backyard beekeeping operations than any book ever written. Site set? Now let's talk about what you actually put in it. Item 2. Starter equipment and real startup costs. Item 2. The equipment list. And I'm going to give you real numbers because the internet is full of people quoting fantasy prices from 2015. A complete beginner Langstroth setup, bottom board, 1 deep brood box, 10 frames with foundation, an inner cover, and a telescoping outer cover runs about $180 to $250 new from a reputable supplier. Add a medium honey super with frames for year 2, and you're looking at another $80 to $110. A basic ventilated bee suit or jacket and veil combo runs $90 to $160. Get the full suit. The one time you skip it is the time you find out you were more allergic than you thought. A stainless steel smoker, $35 to $55. A hive tool, $12 to $20. Buy 2 because you will lose one within the first month, and that's a promise. A pair of nitrile-lined gloves, $15 to $25. A frame grip and a bee brush, another $20 combined. Total honest first-year equipment investment for a single hive buying everything new runs roughly $380 to $560. You can shave $100 to $150 off that by building your own boxes if you have a table saw and a Saturday. That's it. That's the whole shopping list. Anyone trying to sell you an $1,800 starter kit is selling you a decade of upgrades wrapped up as a beginner kit. Skip it. But equipment is just the box. The next item is what actually lives in it. Item 3. Choosing your bees. Nuc versus package and breed selection. Item 3. Choosing your bees. There are 2 ways to start a hive, and one of them is dramatically better for a first-year keeper. Option 1 is a package. 3 pounds of loose bees, roughly 10,000 workers, plus a caged queen, all shaken together in a screened box. Packages run $150 to $200 depending on your region, and they show up in April. They're cheaper, but there's no established comb, no brood, and no working relationship between the queen and the workers yet. You're starting from 0. Option 2 is a nucleus colony, or nuc. A nuc is a fully functioning miniature hive, usually 5 frames of drawn comb, brood in every stage, capped honey, and a laying queen the workers have already accepted. Nucs run $200 to $280, but they're roughly 6 weeks ahead of a package on day 1. For a first-year keeper on a single hive setup, spend the extra $60. Get the nuc. As for breed, for most of the country, you have three sensible choices. Italians are the golden yellow bee everyone pictures: gentle, prolific, easy to inspect, but overwinter poorly in cold climates and eat through stores fast. Carnolians are darker, gentle, incredibly winter hardy, and build up explosively in spring. In the northern half of the country, they're the smart pick. Russians are a line selected for Varroa mite resistance, a little more temperamental but genuinely tough. Pick one, don't overthink it. But which bees you buy is only half the equation. The other half is what they eat. Item 4. The honey math. This is the part everyone gets wrong, so listen close. Year 1. In a package or nuke scenario, you should plan to harvest 0 pounds of honey. That is not a typo. The colony is still building comb, raising brood, and stockpiling the 60 to 90 pounds of honey it needs to survive its first winter in a cold climate. If you rob them in October, they starve in February, and you paid $250 for a science experiment. Leave it. That single decision, take nothing in year 1, is what separates keepers who make it to year 3 from keepers who quit. Year 2 is where the math turns on. A healthy, established single hive in most of North America produces 30 to 60 pounds of surplus honey above what the bees need for themselves. In a strong nectar flow year, that number climbs to 80 or even 100 pounds. Let's work with the conservative middle, 45 pounds of surplus honey. At $12 a pound retail at a farmer's market, that's $540 worth of honey off one box. If you keep it for your own table, that's roughly 2 to 3 years of household sweetener supply, produced in one summer from one hive. And that's before you count beeswax. A strong colony gives you a pound or two of usable wax annually for candles, salves, and lip balm, which at $25 to $30 a pound wholesale isn't nothing. But those numbers only happen if the bees have something to forage on, which brings us to the next piece. Item 5. The 1/4 acre forage plan. Item 5. The forage plan. Here's a fact that changes how you think about a 1/4 acre. A honeybee will fly up to 3 miles from her hive to find nectar, which means her foraging territory can cover thousands of acres of surrounding land. So your 1/4 acre doesn't have to feed the whole colony, but what you plant on it can be the difference between a colony that limps and one that thrives because it gives them steady, close-range forage exactly when they need it. The trick is planting for succession, something in bloom every week from March through October. For early spring, plant crocus, willow, dandelion. Yes, dandelion, stop mowing it. And fruit trees like apple, plum, and cherry. Late spring, black locust, clover, and berry bushes. Summer, borage is a nectar monster and reseeds itself into a permanent patch after year 1. Add sunflowers, lavender, and any of the mint family, and a linden tree if you have room for one. Fall is the hungry season. Plant goldenrod, asters, sedum, and buckwheat, which you can sow as a cover crop that flowers in about 6 weeks. A rough target, dedicate about 1,000 square feet of your 1/4 acre, a strip along a fence, a few beds, and a corner you stop mowing to intentional bee forage. That's about 2% of your total ground. In return, your hive gains what commercial keepers call a home flow, reliable nectar in the immediate radius that reduces foraging effort and lifts your honey yield noticeably. But planting means nothing without knowing when to do what, which brings us to the timeline. Before you set your first hive on a stand, let me save you from the mistakes that end most backyard beekeeping operations before year 2. Mistake 1, buying a package when you should be buying a nuke. I already said it in item 3, but I'm repeating it because it's the single most common first-year killer. A nuke is 6 weeks ahead on day 1. That 6 weeks is the difference between a colony that overwinters and one that doesn't. Spend the extra $60. Mistake 2, inspecting the hive every 3 days because you're anxious. New keepers open the box constantly, and every inspection sets the colony back a day of work. Once every 7 to 10 days during build-up season, and that's it. If you can't leave them alone, put the hive somewhere you can't see it from the kitchen window. Mistake 3, feeding sugar syrup forever. Sugar water is a starter tool for a fresh package or a struggling nuke, not a permanent feed program. Once your bees have drawn out their second frame of comb and are bringing in natural nectar, stop feeding. Sugar-fed honey is not real honey, and lazy feeding leads to lazy foragers. Mistake 4, skipping the mite treatment because your hive looks fine. Varroa is invisible until it isn't, and by the time the colony looks sick, it's already too late. Test in August, treat in September, no exceptions. Mistake 5, harvesting honey the first year. I know you want that first jar. Don't. Every ounce you take in year 1 is an ounce the bees don't have in February, and dead bees don't make honey in year 2. Patience in year 1 is what pays you in year 2. Picture your backyard 18 months from now. It's late July of your second year. You walk out at 7 in the morning with a cup of coffee, and there's a low, steady hum from the corner of the yard where your hive sits. The sound of 40,000 workers already on the job before you've even had your first sip. The fence line you planted with borage and clover is buzzing. The linden you put in year 1 is starting to flower. Your kitchen counter has a row of glass jars filling up with honey so light you can read a newspaper through it, and there's another super captain ready in the shed. The grocery store honey aisle is a place you walk past now, not into. Your neighbors have started dropping off empty jars in the hopes of a refill. Your kids know what real honey tastes like, the seasonal difference between spring wildflower and fall goldenrod, because they eat it every morning. Your total honey bill is 0, not reduced, 0, and the wax from your first harvest is in a mason jar on the shelf waiting to become candles for Christmas. That's not a fantasy backyard. That's one hive, 1/4 acre, 1 year of patience, and 1 year of production. It doesn't take 5 acres. It doesn't take a mentor with a beard down to his belt. It takes a plan, and now you have one. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell me, are you starting your first hive this spring? And if so, are you leaning toward a package or a nuke? And for anyone who's already keeping bees on a small lot, what's the one piece of advice you'd give a brand new keeper before they open the box for the first time? I read every comment on this channel, and your answer might be exactly what somebody scrolling past needs to hear. If this is the kind of content that helps you build real self-sufficiency, not theory, not perfect Pinterest homesteads, but actual systems that fit real backyards, subscribe and hit the bell. Next video, I'm breaking down the biggest mistake new beekeepers make in their very first inspection, the one that quietly kills more first-year hives than mites ever will. You're going to want to see that one. Your 1/4 acre is enough. It always was.